Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to 17 house details that confuse foreigners. Now, this should be interesting because US and UK homes in particular, they kind of look similar, but there are a bunch of differences. Like, I noticed that a lot of US houses are one level, what we would call bungalows here in the UK. Also, you guys have like that sharp thing in the sink, the thing that chops up like residue food and stuff like that. We don't have that. There's quite a few things that are different. And, you know, this list here, I'm hoping it's going to really go into detail to kind of, you know, surprise me a little bit, bring up things that I'd never considered, never heard of. So yeah, this should be fun. Let's do it.
The land of the free and the home of the brave. And apparently, huge freezing cold houses with weird sockets. Wait, what's so strange about American homes? Well, anytime I invite my non-American friends over to my house, they're happy to point out how bizarre it is. For example, 1. Big houses. First of all, not all Americans have huge houses. Plenty of people rent small apartments, and houses come in all different sizes. But yeah, I'll agree that the typical American home is pretty big and spacious compared to other countries, where the average square footage for European houses is about 1,500 feet. It's 2,700 feet in the US.
Almost
I guess
twice.
The numbers don't lie. Number 2. A room for everything. To fill our giant houses, we've got a room for pretty much anything you can imagine. If you can count closets as tiny rooms, and they kinda are when you think about it, every American home has multiples of those. There are closets for clothes in each bedroom, usually one near the front door for coats and shoes, one in the bathroom or hallway for towels, one in the kitchen in the form of a pantry. Yep, we love storage space that's built into the house.
I like that because it means that your house is going to have less clutter around. Things are really going to be like neater and more minimalistic because everything's got its own space. Whereas like, you know, here you just, my place, I'd show you around, but right now it's not in the best condition. But like, if I had more storage space, it'd be great.
Those big wardrobes you might get from IKEA aren't really a thing here. Number 3. Huge personal washers and dryers. Speaking of rooms, there's also usually one just for doing laundry. Also, most Americans have both a washer and a separate dryer, and they tend to be big too. My European friends tell me that their washer is in the kitchen or bathroom, and they hang their clothes to dry. But again, I'm sure it comes down to the issue of space. Still, even if a person in the US doesn't have their own, they just go down to the laundromat to use the machines there. You won't see many Americans hand-washing their clothes or hanging them to dry. I mean, who has time for that? 4. Basements. And here's yet another way to have plenty of storage space. Or, of course, if you're in the Midwest, basements serve as a shelter when a tornado hits. But besides storage and tornado safety, a lot of American homes have gorgeous, finished basements that serve as another living space. It might be in the form of a guest room or a recreational area to hang out in. 5.
I like that a lot. Just having like your own designated space, like a man cave or a woman cave, but just like somewhere that you could just hang with the boys and just, you know, yeah, that'd be sick.
The abandoned dining room. And there are some rooms that we don't even use at all. Okay, maybe this just applies to my family, but we never use the dining room. It's there, we have a beautiful dining table, but we always just take our dinner to the living room and watch TV while we eat. Hey, dinner and a movie. 6. Serious about fire safety. More specifically, I'm talking about having multiple smoke alarms throughout the house.
We've got that here.
I personally have one in the kitchen, another in the hallway, and one in each bedroom. That's what the National Fire Protection Association recommends, and I'm probably not alone in following their guidelines to a T. Fire safety is taken so seriously in the States that landlords can get in big trouble if they don't immediately fix a non-working smoke alarm for their tenants.
I think maybe part of this is because American houses are often made of wood as well. There's a lot more wood in an American house compared to a British house, so they're more flammable, right?
And perhaps it's for fire safety or just a convenience thing. But I've always had an electric stove in any house I've lived in. Gas stoves aren't as popular as they are elsewhere in the world. 7. Wall-to-wall carpeting. This point will often depend on how old a house is, because a lot of the old ones have wooden floors. But most homes, especially the newer ones, have wall-to-wall carpeting in every room. Well, not the kitchen or bathroom, of course, but everywhere else it's carpeted. Is this really just an American thing?
Yes, it is. Like here in the UK and Germany, like wood flooring, like laminated wood flooring is like really on trend right now, like really on trend, with like a small rug in the middle of the room.
If you're from another country, you'll have to let me know down below. 8. How low can you go? Now, my European friends find my toilet quite fascinating and mildly confusing. I guess toilets in the US sit lower than the ones in Europe do. It's not because we're necessarily shorter or that it's more comfortable for us. Low-sitting toilets actually serve a purpose. Being closer to the ground is a healthier and more natural way to, do your numbers.
I see.
Before we even had commodes, our caveman ancestors squatted on the ground. So, just trying to keep it all natural over here.
But what if you get a dead leg? It's going to be so hard to get up.
And, well, civilized too, of course. 9. Toilet bowls full of water. You didn't think I was done talking about toilets, did you? Okay, one more toilet fact for the day. In the US, they're full of water. On his first visit to the States, one of my friends actually thought my toilet was clogged. Nope, all that water is totally normal and serves several purposes as well. First of all, it keeps the bowl from getting too dirty and staining the porcelain. That way, we don't have to use the brush as often. It also minimizes smells. But there is a downside of more splashing, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. 10. One faucet to rule them all. I haven't done a lot of traveling, but I have been to the UK, and I was flabbergasted by the separate faucets in the bathroom.
I know.
How do you guys use those anyways?
Literally.
I have to wash my hands under scalding hot or freezing cold water separately. Jump back and forth between the two? In the US, sinks always have just one faucet, and you can customize the temperature of the water however you like.
It is becoming more popular to have one tap or one faucet, but in bathrooms, there's still a hot tap and a cold tap. I don't know why, because it doesn't make sense. This is one thing about the American system that we definitely should adopt.
Now, as for getting that perfect temperature when you're taking a shower, don't even get me started on that. 11. Crank up the AC. Yeah, most of us leave the AC running all through the summer instead of opening a window or using a fan. Probably not the most cost-efficient solution, especially in a big house, but it just feels so nice. The same goes for cranking the heat up in the winter. You won't see many radiators in the US. 12. Wearing shoes inside. Most of the world has a pretty strict policy about taking your shoes off at the front door.
Yeah.
But that's not really the case here. Most families are totally okay with wearing shoes inside around the house, as long as they're not muddy or anything.
But if you've got wall-to-wall carpeting, why would you let people keep your shoes on indoors? You've got a much higher chance of getting mud or dirt on it. Just take your shoes off at the door.
Sure, there are those American families that don't do it. So, if you're ever in the States, it's customary to ask if you need to take your shoes off at the front door. Most of the time, the answer will be, nah, you're fine. 13. Switchless sockets. Now, apparently in Europe, you have a switch to either allow the power to flow by turning a button on or cutting it by switching it off. In America, you don't have this option, and that's most likely because of the fact that we have a lower voltage running through our sockets. So the risk of shocking yourself when you unplug something without turning the socket off first isn't as high. 14. No tea kettle in the kitchen. The US is mostly a coffee drinking country, so we don't really use tea kettles. And if you're thinking, well, what about a kettle to boil water for instant coffee?
A cup of coffee.
The answer to that, my friend, is that most homes have a coffee maker to brew it fresh. 15. Garbage disposals.
Here we go.
Ah, yes, the convenience of rinsing your plate right in the sink, flipping the switch, and sending all that ground-up food down the drain. Garbage disposals are a lot more common in the States. In fact, over 50% of American homes have one. I imagine it comes.
But where does the garbage go? Does it go into like a container that you need to then empty into the trash? Or does it go like directly to some kind of sewage processing place?
Comes down to better sanitation and avoiding raunchy smells coming from your trash can. 16. Flags everywhere. Americans really do love to display the old Star-Spangled Banner. So most homes here have at least one hanging outside the house. But it's not just our national flag we like to hoist. A lot of people have a flag with their favorite football team or the college they went to on it. What can I say? We like flags. 17. Pristine lawns. And finally, surrounding that big house full of rooms, closets, carpet, and weird sockets, we have our beautiful lawns. Okay, the perfect pristine kind are usually only found in the suburbs, but in general, Americans like to take care of their yard. Plus, most neighborhoods have rules about it. Even if you don't want to, you often have to keep your lawn mowed and free of leaves or clutter.
I like that.
Everything's gotta look nice and clean.
I like that.
And now, whether you're American or not, which of these things apply to your house?
I like that last one about the rules being, that you have to keep your yard looking good, because some people here just are so lazy. They'll let the grass grow for like 6 months over winter, not cut it once. It's just like, come on, it looks unsightly. Nobody wants to see that looking out of their window. If it's their neighbor, no one wants to see that. Like, you've got a personal jungle in the backyard. A few of them I'm not so sure about, like all of the water, like in the toilet with the water being so high. Isn't that a bit of a waste of water? Like, I guess, yeah, it's gonna reduce the smell and the amount of times you need to clean the toilet bowl. But it just seems like a lot of water just to have constantly, like even if you're urinating, so the toilet bowl is gonna be like full of water. But yeah, really interesting video. Some I loved, some I'm not sure about, but yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.